Up next is Kids and Wolves with the Apex Protection Project's Ambassador Pack. It's one of our most popular events every year. We hope that there are lots of kiddos out there watching. Paula, Steve, take it away.
Good morning and welcome to our final day of Sedona Wolf Week, Saturday morning. We made it. It's been amazing and I hope you've joined us all week. Today, we're going to do our Apex Protection Project school presentation. Now, we have school presentations for all ages, from kindergarten to college. This is for our younger kids. It's more of a 101 introduction to wolves, the pack structure, and a little bit about the ecosystem. And this is the presentation that we would normally do on your school stage with the pack with us, and it would be live. Unfortunately, for obvious reasons, we can't do that. But we are going to do this presentation, and then we are going to take you outside here at Apex live, and we're going to introduce you to the pack. Now, this may or may not happen, and I hate to say it like that, but we've discovered over Sedona Wolf Week, since we live in the middle of nowhere and we are on satellite, that sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes it does. No matter what we've done to get ready for this, we live in the middle of nowhere and we have satellite, and it sometimes just drops out. So hopefully it will work. And we're going to take you out into their enclosures. We're going to play with them, and we're going to get you to answer questions, and you can ask your own questions and stuff like that. But for now, we're going to do the presentation. So enjoy. We're going to start with our PowerPoint. I'm going to share the screen with you here. And this first slide is going to be a video, a little bit about who we are and what we do, and then we'll see you right after this. Hold on 1 second. There we go.
Protection Project, Steve and Paul. Share this with you because you're the ones who are going to really make it happen. Our vision is that future generations will live in a world where the wolf and all species are highly valued.
So later this afternoon, we're actually going to do the story of Taboo. So hopefully you'll join us for that, a little honoring of literally the founder of Apex. So we'll look forward to that later. But to move forward with our presentation.
So maybe you're wondering why we started Apex and why we think it's so important to share information about wolves with you. Well, our mission at Apex is that future generations, in the work that we're doing, we hope that future generations will live in a world where the wolf and all species are highly valued, protected, and respected for the place they rightfully hold on this planet, the balance they bring to their ecosystems, and for the lessons they offer to us, to humanity.
Yeah, and you are the generation that we are going to be leaving the planet to, and we hope that we leave it in good shape for you and that you protect it for the next generation. So you are those future generations that we're talking about in our mission. This is one of the most fun and important things I think we do, is to talk to you. So we really appreciate you being here and listening today. So here's a question for you. Now, normally I'd be on stage, we'd have the pack with us, and I'd be like, what do you think about wolves? And maybe 10 years ago, a lot of the kids were like, it's scary, they're scary, they're mean. And I think that, now people are starting to be a little more educated on wolves and starting to understand them. And different people have different visions about wolves, right?
Yeah. A lot of people think that maybe they're, a lot of people, especially, a while back, they thought that they were maybe aggressive, dangerous, scary, evil. But people are starting to understand now that that's not how they are at all. And that's coming through, education on TV, education in film, but also the really cool thing. And it was mentioned that, movies play a big part in how we feel about things. And recently there have been some movies coming out, like Jungle Book portrays wolves as they are, as families and protectors, loyal, and Teen Wolf, which is a really fun show, Twilight for the tweens, and all of these films depict wolves in a positive light and have helped to create that image, which is a great image for kids. So now when we ask them, we'll stand up on stage and say, hey, what do you guys think about wolves? And the whole room will just in unison go, they're cute, they're cool, they're brave, they're wise.
Which is really wonderful.
And those are all true traits, right?
Yeah, and we still have to remember, though, that when you do watch a movie, sometimes you're going to see the wolf as the bad guy. And that's simply not true. So when you watch these movies, some of them can be fun. They might be scary movies and there's a bad wolf, but you got to take that in a way that you know the truth about wolves. You know what wolves are really like. And this is just a movie, just like any other. It's fictional for the most part. So, there's something that we need to keep in mind when we're watching TV or we're seeing wolves on TV. How is the TV portraying them? And today we're going to talk about the true story of wolves and what they're really, really like. And Paula's going to tell you a little bit about what is a wolf pack. Can you guess what a wolf pack is?
A lot of people don't realize that a wolf pack is just a family. And in that family, and there's even a movie about it, it's called Alpha and Omega, and some of you may have seen that. The alphas are actually just the mom and the dad. So it's not just about being big and strong, it's about being a good leader, but they're good leaders because they're the parents. And then all of the other wolves in the pack are generally their kids. And sometimes wolves will come, wolves who are traveling, maybe looking to start their own family because they're adults now. They'll come and maybe join a pack for a little while.
They're called interlopers.
And then they might also leave again, but while they're with the pack, they'll help in hunting and all of the duties of taking care of puppies and stuff. But again, they're just the mom and the dad and the family. Wolves will actually have a litter of puppies only once a year. And even in nature, if there's not enough food, they might decide not to have puppies for a year just because they know there's not enough food for all of them. And here you see this beautiful photo of a wolf family with all of the pups maturing and growing into adulthood.
Yeah, and just like your family, you know, some kids stay with the family for the rest of their lives, sometimes like human families. And a lot of times, just like we do, we grow up and we leave home eventually and find a mate or a wife and or a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or a husband. Exactly right. Talking about me. And you have your own pack essentially, and then you become the alpha. So it's very much like that. And sometimes they go back and visit, just like human families. They have cousins and brothers and sisters, and so it's very similar to the way that we have a family.
So, for example, you know, any of you out there who have brothers or sisters, and you happen to be the oldest in your family, you would be called the beta. And that is in a wolf pack, that is the oldest kids usually. And their job is exactly like yours, which is to help look after the younger ones, right? And make sure that they're safe and they get to the dinner table on time and everything like that. And the really cool thing that I like about how Steve was saying that they'll visit each other is even if they grow up and they go and they start their own families, they'll come together when a new litter is born to see the babies. They'll come together to help each other hunt if they need extra, like a big team to go hunting. They'll come together again. So it is very similar to a human family.
And wolves love babies.
They sure do.
They really do.
They love babies.
So we have a video here. Our pack, because we are a rescue, and as you saw in some of the videos there, we rescue wolves and wolf dogs that were bought by people. There's a lot of them out there that are bought by people that didn't really realize how difficult these animals are, and that they make incredibly difficult pets. It's not practical to necessarily have a wolf in your house, especially when you have a normal life, because you won't really have a house.
Well, and then you think about it. I mean, if I were to ask you the question at your school in person, where should a wolf be? Where should a wolf grow up and live? You would say in the wild, in the forest, out in nature, not in a house.
So, you know, unfortunately, we exist because there is a problem out there with these wolf dogs being abandoned, neglected, put in the pound, or just turned over to us because they can't handle them. Now, we're very small and we're full, and most rescues across the country are full. But getting back to my point, our wolves are not a family in the sense of they were born together, except for Thor and Loki. They are brothers, and we'll talk about them later, especially on the tour. But they come together from all different walks of life. But what is interesting, just like people maybe who go to work or work on a team, or they start to become a family. They start to become friends, and each one of them takes a position. Now, Taboo, who passed away not so long ago, she became our alpha, our mother. And she just became the mother, one, because she was the oldest and probably the wisest, and she'd been with us the longest. And she just had this beautiful, nurturing quality about her. Now, she was a leader, an alpha, a mother that took care of her pack without aggression or telling them off. They just did what she wanted because she was gentle and loving and firm, you know, just like my mom. And then Kona, who you see in this picture, he became the big brother because he was the right age, and he wasn't necessarily Taboo's boyfriend or alpha. He was more of her older son because she took him under her wing when he first came here. So you see in this video, as I play it, you'll see Thor and Loki as puppies. But watch how they take care of them. Watch how Kona teaches them discipline by and the little one puts his mouth in Kona's mouth. And Kona looks like he's growling and it's kind of vicious, but it's not. All he's saying is, I got your back. I'm in charge. And the puppy is showing him respect by putting his muzzle in his mouth. And then Taboo, she decides to take them. She goes, you can see her going, come on, come on. And she takes them and they run off at the end. It's a short video and there's a little bit of wind in this video, so excuse that, but enjoy.
So I just want to explain a little bit more about what Steve was saying in this behavior that you're going to see, because as he said, the puppies literally will go up to the grown-ups and put their muzzle in the grown-up's mouth, and the grown-up will go "Arr, arr, 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 arr." And what the puppy is saying is, hey, are you big and strong and able to take care of me? And of course, you know, what is the impression of a big, strong wolf? It's one that's like, rah, yeah. And so that's how they demonstrate it. They make this, rah, 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 yes, I'm strong and I can take care of you. And you'll see once that interaction happens, how happy the puppy is, and he feels safe and he can run off and play knowing that Kona is watching over him to protect him.
So here we go. I love that video. So we are going to talk a little bit about what's called the trophic cascade. And this is something that some scientists have been studying and have discovered has been happening in Yellowstone since 1995 and 1996, when full wolves were first released there. It changed the entire ecosystem of Yellowstone. Not the entire ecosystem, but a good part of the ecosystem started to change. And I think there's a video online, which we're going to play for you right now, which explains it way better than I can. So we're going to play this short video for you. And if you ever want to find it, you may have seen it already. It's called How Wolves Changed Rivers. And so enjoy this, and then we'll come back right after the video.
One of the most exciting scientific findings of the past half-century has been the discovery of widespread trophic cascades. A trophic cascade is an ecological process which starts at the top of the food chain and tumbles all the way down to the bottom. And the classic example is what happened in the Yellowstone National Park in the United States when wolves were reintroduced in 1995. Now, we all know that wolves kill various species of animals, but perhaps we're slightly less aware that they give life to many others. Before the wolves turned up, they'd been absent for 70 years, but the numbers of deer, because there was nothing to hunt them, had built up and built up in the Yellowstone Park, and despite efforts by humans to control them, they'd managed to reduce much of the vegetation there to almost nothing. They'd just grazed it away. But as soon as the wolves arrived, even though they were few in number, they started to have the most remarkable effects. First, of course, they killed some of the deer, but that wasn't the major thing. Much more significantly, they radically changed the behavior of the deer. The deer started avoiding certain parts of the park, the places where they could be trapped most easily, particularly the valleys and the gorges. And immediately those places started to regenerate. In some areas, the height of the trees quintupled in just 6 years. Bare valley sides quickly became forests of aspen and willow and cottonwood. as soon as that happened, the birds started moving in. The number of songbirds and migratory birds started to increase greatly. The number of beavers started to increase because beavers like to eat the trees. And beavers, like wolves, are ecosystem engineers. They create niches for other species. And the dams they built in the rivers provided habitats for otters and muskrats and ducks and fish and reptiles and amphibians. The wolves killed coyotes, and as a result of that, the number of rabbits and mice began to rise, which meant more hawks, more weasels, more foxes, more badgers. Ravens and bald eagles came down to feed on the carrion that the wolves had left. Bears fed on it too, and their population began to rise as well, partly also because there were more berries growing on the regenerating shrubs. And the bears reinforced the impact of the wolves by killing some of the calves of the deer. But here's where it gets really interesting. The wolves changed the behavior of the rivers. They began to meander less. There was less erosion. The channels narrowed. More pools formed. More riffle sections, all of which were great for wildlife habitats. The rivers changed in response to the wolves. And the reason was that the regenerating forests stabilized the banks so that they collapsed less often, so that the rivers became more fixed in their course. Similarly, by driving the deer out of some places and the vegetation recovering on the valley sides, there was less soil erosion because the vegetation stabilized that as well. So the wolves, small in number, transformed not just the ecosystem of the Yellowstone National Park, this huge area of land, but also its physical geography.
So that's a great video that is readily available for you on YouTube. Some of you, like I said, have probably seen it. I hear people talking about it all the time. And of course, they're still studying this and still trying to figure out how the wolves are affecting our environment, but it seems to be going in that direction, which is really wonderful. So we're going to introduce you to our pack. And in a moment, Paula will be outside and she'll be talking, hopefully, with you and with the wolves outside. So, but we have a special surprise for you. We have a video. It's a 5-minute video from, oh, wait, we've got one more slide. I apologize. And Paula's going to go into this part.
And this actually goes with the video that we're going to show. So by this point, you all are probably wondering, oh my gosh, wolves are not what I thought, or they are. How can I help save them and protect them? Because there are a lot of people who are still very afraid of them and don't want them around. And a lot of wolves are being killed because of that. And we want to see them flourish. They have a right to be here. They're gentle. As you can see, they have families. So what can you do? Well, first of all, understanding that no matter what age you are, even if you're very young, what you have to say and what you think matters. And it's important for you to say what you think. And if you think wolves should be protected, you should let everyone know, whether they're adults or whether they're other kids, whether they're your family or friends. So the first thing you want to do is talk about them. Talk to your friends and family about wolves and let them know what their personalities are really like and how they really are in nature, and let them know they need to be protected and that it's going to take everybody, our whole community, to take care of them. You can go with your parents, or if you have your own social media pages, you can go on social media and you can share that way. You can share that video. You can share what you know about wolves. Share fun pictures about wolves and a little bit of information that you learned today with your friends and family. And then you can go to our website, and our website has information on it, has more photographs on it of our pack, And there's also even more ways on our website that you can read about how you can help save them.
Yeah, and remember, if, as long as you're allowed to be on social media, please, inform your parents if you're not, and have them take on social media. But we have a Facebook page, which is probably too old for you guys. You guys probably have TikTok, so we are on TikTok.
We have TikTok. We're called Apex Wolves, and we also, for those of you who like Instagram, we also are on Instagram as Apex Protection Project.
We have informative videos, silly videos, fun stuff for you to watch. And so right now I'd like to introduce Emmy. She, like I said, is the one that actually started our junior volunteer program. We have a junior volunteer program. It's a small program right now. We have eight kids and nine kids, and we have a waiting list. But if you're interested in that and you live in California, you can send an email to us at info@apexprotectionproject.org. Like I said, there is a waiting list right now because we're trying to expand, but we're very small. And they meet once a month. And Emmy actually started the program for her Bronze Award?
For her Silver Girl
Award.
Scout. She's a Girl Scout, and she needed to earn her Silver Award, which means that she needed to help a nonprofit charity develop a program that was sustainable, which means it would last for a long, long time on its own. So that's when she came up with this idea to get kids more involved in learning about wolves hands-on so that they could become advocates to help save wolves.
So here's Emmy in her own words.
Hi, I'm Emmy Holtschneider. I'm the Junior Ambassador for Apex Protection Project, and I'm so excited to be speaking today. So I'm 16 years old. I came to Apex about a little over 2 years ago with my Girl Scout troop. And to be honest, I was a little nervous just because I didn't know what to expect. I read all these things in storybooks growing up, and I never imagined who they were. As soon as I got there, and as soon as I heard what Paul and Steve had to say about the species, as soon as I saw them interact with each other, my viewpoint completely changed. I knew that I had to do something to protect them, so I pulled aside my friend May Chapman, and I pulled her aside, and we talked about our Silver Award for Girl Scouts. So Silver Award is an award you can earn as a Girl Scout. So there's bronze, silver, and gold. So we have to do our Silver Award, and we were like, ooh, maybe we should do it with Apex. So we talked to Paul and Steve about it, and we all came up with the idea of the Junior Volunteer Program. So the Junior Volunteer Program is this amazing opportunity for kids to volunteer with wolves and get to learn about them, get to learn about conservation, get to learn about how to advocate for these animals. So I was very proud of that when it launched. I know May was too. So I knew that I couldn't stop there. So I continued my research, and I continued learning about wolves. I continued learning, researching, anything I could do, I tried to. So I found out that wolves were removed from Yellowstone around 1926, and because wolves are an apex predator, the ecosystem started dying. The grass, because there's an overpopulation of deer, elk, bison, etc., other animals, they were feeding off the grass, so the grass started dying. There was not a lot of grass, which created overflow of the riverbank. So that created a huge problem within itself, and there was just a lot that went wrong because there wasn't much of a balance anymore. And when wolves were reintroduced back in 1995, the ecosystem started thriving again. There was a balance. And I didn't want to just sit there. I knew I wanted to do something. I knew I had to advocate for these animals. So I learned more. I talked to Paula and Steve, and my first reaction, my first interaction with the Apex Pack was, wow, are these really how these animals are like? I always imagined them being harsh creatures when in reality they're nothing like that. They're these intelligent, smart, playful, very centered around family, very centered around the pack. They're shy and gentle and agile, and they're these beautiful beautiful animals that the media portrays as scary. And when in reality, they're not really like that. They're beautiful creatures within themselves. And I started researching more. I knew that I wanted to do something because even though I'm still young, I knew I have a voice. I knew I had a voice. And I knew I could use it. So I knew that I could do something, and I knew that I wanted to teach younger generations how to advocate for them, because even though you are young, you still do have a voice. Your voice still matters. And I didn't want to just stop there. So the junior program, I think, was very important because it teaches kids how to advocate for animals that otherwise wouldn't have been able to advocate for themselves. So we're teaching younger generations these amazing things that I think is very important, because my generation and younger generations to come are very important. The younger generations are very important because we have a voice and we can use it. Growing up, I was taught that even though I am young, I do have a voice and it matters. I was taught to believe, to stand up for what you believe in, to speak for what you believe in, to speak up. And you do have a voice, and your voice matters. So I think the junior program was such a big thing, was such a huge deal for me, because I wanted to teach younger kids that they do have a voice and their voice does matter. So I think it's such an important thing, and especially teaching younger generations that wolves are a big part of the ecosystem, and they do impact us, and they do impact our world, is a big thing. And not a lot of the media portrays them as such negative species, when in reality they're not like that. So I think teaching younger generations that they can speak up for what they believe in is very important. And you know, I just knew that I couldn't stop. After creating the program with May, I knew that I couldn't stop there, so I wanted to continue, and I think it's a very important thing, and I'm very grateful that I get the opportunity to speak in front of everyone here and in front of all of you. And I get to speak about this, and I get to speak on protection, and I get to speak on conservation, and I think advocating for these animals is such an important thing to me. So I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you everyone for listening. And you do have a voice, and you do matter, and your voice does matter.
Very nice.
Okay. Thank you, Amy. That was really wonderful. So when you see us next in a moment, we should be live outside. So hopefully we'll see you in a little while.
Cross your fingers. If for some reason it doesn't work, it's okay. There's lots of other videos that we recorded this week that are going to be online that you can watch of our pack playing and spending time with us. So hopefully I'll see you in a minute, but if not, we'll see you
It's going to work.
Okay.
I have a good feeling.
You have a good feeling?
I have a really good feeling.
Okay, great. Good.
Okay, we'll see you all soon. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day today. Check in with us this afternoon. There's some wonderful programs going on, some wonderful videos for you to see as well. So
let's go meet the pack.
yeah.
When we are done with the tour, Betty is going to log off. So you pick up inside with the Q&A, and then I'll meet you in there so there's no time lapse.
Hello, Apex. Good morning.
Hey guys.
We're good. Kicking off the last day of Wolf Week, and I can't think of a better way to do it than hang out with you guys this morning. I know we have. Oh, I'm sorry, Paula.
No, I was going to say I'm so happy that so many adults attended and enjoyed it. I was really happy to see that. I'm glad you guys liked it. We love giving this presentation, so it's nice to know that it's fun for all ages.
I was actually going to say the exact same thing, so perfect. Before we get to Q&A and comments, I know you guys are going to take it away for a little bit, so turning it over to you.
So this is what we're going to try. Right now, the internet gods are with us, and it's working really well outside. So Paula, and Jolie are going to take you on a tour and meet some of the pups, and we're going to hang out and watch them as long as the internet stays connected. If it doesn't, we'll come back inside, and we have some videos to play as well, and we'll answer some questions. So go ahead, P.
All right. So we might as well start right here. I didn't want to move because he's all snuggly. They're all really snuggly this morning. This is Loki. Loki was the puppy you saw in the video who was, going after Kona, and Kona was doing the mouthing on him, and he was wiggling all around. Loki has always admired Kona ever since he was a little puppy. For you older folks, my age, I like to refer to Kona as the Fonz, and this was Chachi. I just want to be like you. I just want to be cool like you. And he's always been like that. So you could see that when he was really young. And just very briefly, Thor and Loki, when we rescued them, it's very rare that we rescue puppies that age. We rescued them 3.5 weeks old from a backyard breeding situation that was just, well, it was illegal, first of all, in its county, and it was being shut down. It was deplorable if you had seen the conditions. So when we got them, these guys were not well. They had a lot of things going on. They had every parasite. They were in the vet a lot that first year. Loki was kind of the runt. He was so much smaller that he kind of grew into the linebacker. And Thor's got these long, beautiful legs, and no one's faster than Thor. He is so fast. Maybe Taboo when she was young. She was the fastest I've ever seen. But Thor's really fast. Thor has a condition called inflammatory bowel disease, and it looks like it's hereditary, and we control that with a special hypoallergenic diet and medication. So he's doing great, and he's doing really well with that care that we're able to give. We are going to, I was hoping that Neo, our newest rescue, who we rescued just a couple of weeks ago, would come out. He's very shy. He's the perfect example of what a wolf is, because wolves are so shy that, let's say on a really good day, if the wind is blowing just right, they can smell you up to like 10 miles away. And if they smell you, they go, oh my gosh, a competitive predator. They know man is threatening and can be dangerous. So they run in the opposite direction. They don't want anything to do with things. And he exhibits that. So it's kind of interesting to watch him display that behavior, it gives you a sense of but so he's hiding. No, maybe he'll come out and we can take a peek at it. Why don't we go meet the rest of the pack? I also have, I just want to introduce Lindsay. Take your mask off if you want to. Or her nickname is also Vega, and she is going to be assisting us today. Okay, look. No. Lazy. It's a really nice day out today. It's cool, but not too cold. I've been wearing ski pants all week because I'm a chicken when it comes to the cold. Can you guys see Sarge pretty well with the camera angle? Steve, are you able to see him? How's it look?
Yes, we can see him.
Oh. Okay, good. Sometimes with the fence, it's hard to see, but this is Sarge. He is our oldest, and he's also our largest. He's 12 years old. We rescued him at 7 years old, and when we rescued him, he had fallen off of a tower and broke his leg in half. And it was a very expensive surgery. Not a lot of sanctuaries were prepared to take an animal with that kind of injury. The family that was trying to find a home for him was going through a really traumatic experience at the time, and they didn't know what to do. They couldn't find anybody to take him, and they were worried that they would have to put him to sleep. So we jumped in and we said, no, that's not going to happen. We'll figure it out. And so we went and picked him up. He came from Oregon. And we took him to our vet, and they put a titanium plate in there. It's like this metal bar, and they screw it into the bone, and they put the bone together again. And then it took about 6 months to put kind of like a soft cast around. And in 6 months, his
the bones fused together. He healed. And he's able to go on hikes off leash. He can run full speed after rabbits. He's doing great. And of course, you can imagine how good that made us feel. The first time we ever saw him run, we burst into tears because we've been praying for him and really rooting for him to get back to health. So he's doing really well. He's also an amazing ambassador. He loves to snuggle, and this is his favorite. They will literally spend hours in here snuggling. And sometimes she'll even bring a tent and put it outside and spend the night. And then I get up really early in the morning and I'll go into the kitchen and she's already in here in her pajamas snuggling Sarge.
Well, why don't you come with him for a minute?
What's that?
Want to go in with him for a minute?
Oh, go in with Sarge? Sure.
For a minute. You can see better.
No, I have none.
Oh, good. Let me in.
There's some on the counter.
Smart. So smart. So some of you might know this fact, but this is a fun fact. Wolves, their brains are actually about 30% larger than a domestic dog's. And really, it's evolutionary so that they can strategize and figure out hunting, and they need to work puzzles out. And so part of our daily routine with them is to give them lots of enrichment, lots of things to do so that their brains are stimulated, their bodies are stimulated. But you can see what a love bug is. Say bye, Lily. Oh, you got the bullet. Yeah. And so this is the leg that was broken. You can see, I don't know if Betty can get a good angle on it. It did heal a little bit. It's a little bit bent.
Hi, Sarge.
He's like, why aren't you saying hi to me? Sargento, come here. You can snuggle her later. You can snuggle her. Betty has the TREAT bag on, so she's extra popular. Do you guys see how gold his eyes are? He's got these beautiful golden kind of amber colored eyes. That's a wolf trait. Now, Sarge is a wolf dog. He's not a full wolf. He does have some dog in him. So he's wolf, and then he's got a little bit of dog as well. But he's got those yellow eyes or the gold eyes that really represent wolves. If you notice, if you ever go and look at a bunch of different pictures of wolves, you always see that have this gold tinge. Sometimes it can be a little bit green or, a little more orangey, but they're never like brown like mine. They aren't ever that color. And they're not blue. If you see anybody who has it, might slightly gray, although when wolves are born, they're born with these kind of dark gray-blue eyes. And as they, mature over the next few months, their eyes become color. All right, let's go see the next one. What is that? Good boy. So we're going to now meet Riggs and Selena. And as you can see, Riggs is very excited. Riggs is very excited about Lindsay reaching into her bag. And she's going to give each one of them a treat. And that's going to give us a little time to get in without feeling the stuck on it. So, Riggs, I know. Riggs, hi, Rick. Just goodness. Are you okay?
It's okay. We got it. He's fine. So Riggs is very attached to humans, unusually so, because Riggs is mostly wolf with a little bit of what we think might be coyote. So he doesn't have any dog. He's essentially a wolf. And what you see with his coat, which is really neat, you guys see how Sarge's coat was black and just kind of a solid black mostly. Let's get off. Good. Can we do middle? So this is how we get him to stop jumping, because he really wants to get up to our face, because wolves greet each other by licking each other's muzzles, nibbling a little bit. That's really how they communicate. And he wants to be able to do that with me, but he can't reach me. So he's constantly jumping up. So we taught him to go middle, because this makes him feel safe. It helps us in keeping him on all 4 feet, and he feels that we can snuggle and spend time together that way. And there, Riggs is trying to take Betty's walkie-talkie because he's a stinker. Come here, you. He's like, no, I don't want to go to you. You have no treats. But you know who's behind Betty is Selena. And Selena's a bit shy, and we rescued Selena just 6 months ago. She actually, both of these guys actually were found just roaming around free. He escaped his backyard and traveled over 50 miles. We don't know. Her teeth are really damaged, so she could have been like chewing at a fence to get out or something, but we see that she definitely is doing some fence fighting. So we don't really know where she came from, just that she was in Memphis, Tennessee, living in the woods. And the woods were near some houses, and people started seeing her and alerted a rescue that was in the area, and they were able to catch her, take her back to the rescue. They kept her for a while. She was skin and bones. She was sick. She wasn't well. So they nurtured her back to health. And then they were not a wolf or wolf dog rescue. They were just a dog and cat rescue. So they reached out to our community to see if there was a place that was more suitable for her. And we just knew, you just sometimes you just know here. And we actually introduced her to all of the guys to see who she might, be drawn to the most, and happened to be Riggs. So now they live together and they're madly in love. It's very cute. So they like to snuggle and kiss each other all the time. Right, Wrigley? Okay. Hey, you're going to let us out, right, Lindsay? Okay, while Jolie's getting out, Lindsay again is going to just distract him. We don't normally do this, but we're just doing it today for ease so that we can be quick. So what you guys might notice with Selena, I don't know if you caught that, but she has a bright pink nose. Riggs, on the other hand, everybody else that you've seen today has a solid black nose. That is a wolf trait. So if you're seeing the pink, that's her husky. So she has some husky and some German shepherd. So she's a mix of wolf and dog as well. And that pink nose apparently is called winter nose, and it's a common thing among huskies. And so we just love that pink nose because it's so unique. All right. Hi, Tony. Are you going to come in? Okay, let us in. Let us in. Oh, good girl. You would let us in. Let us in. So, here's Kona sauntering over. And remember how we were talking about the role of the beta, which is, it's a term that is still used, but not as often as it used to be, but it's still important to bring it up in case you hear it again. You'll know what it means. And what it means is big brother or sister, essentially. And that's the role, remember in the video, that Kona took on and helped to raise Loki and Thor with Tabu. So he still holds that position. He still behaves, in this very regal way. He's kind of the protector. He's the big brother. He makes everybody behave if they start to act out.
And he also likes to lead in the front because he feels, like he's the protector. Whereas when Taboo would lead from the back, we were all traveling together so that she could keep her eyes on everybody as the mama figure. And then you'll see that we have Ryder. Ryder doesn't even look like a wolf. Why is she here? Why is she here? Guess what? She's a wolf dog. Believe it or not, she's 16% wolf and 84% hobbit. And believe it or not, little Ryder here behaves more wolfy in more wolfy ways than Riggs, our full wolf, which is very interesting because a lot of it is, it's you'd never know. It's how the genetics are expressing themselves, not necessarily what is and what's not. So the way that she expresses her wolfiness is she's got this more, I don't need humans, whereas dogs really need humans, they want to be with you all the time. Wolves are a little more independent. And the relationship that we build with wolves is more mutual. So it's more like we're building a relationship with another human in becoming friends. And you have to earn that friendship over a long time, building that trust and that bond. And she's very feral. She's very independent, and she's a little toughie. And she's a scrapper. She loves to play and wrestle and run. And honestly, she's kind of stolen my heart. I really love her. And we rescued her from a huge rescue that we helped Plan B with a couple of years ago called the High Desert Wolf Rescue. It was a breeding facility up in Northern California that really got out of control. And the breeder just couldn't keep up or maintain. I mean, it just really ended up in a situation. The county was going to come in and they were going to take all the puppies away. So we saved them and we found homes for almost 108 pups that we were able to save together, a couple sanctuaries like us. And Ryder was riding in our transport vehicle and everybody fell in love with her. So we thought, you know what? She's going to come and stay at us. So here she is. And I'm glad she did. Pretty. So I think we're going to go back in and answer some questions. If you guys have some questions, we can sit and chat about wolves. So I'm going to sign out. You're going to go over to Steve, and I'll see you in a second.
Yeah, I think we have some questions, right, Betsy?
We do. I know you touched on Riggs and, that he's mostly wolf and you think a little bit of coyote. And you did mention, I think, Selena's mix of breeds. But what about some of the others?
Some of the others have just been phenotyped. We haven't DNA tested everybody. In the beginning, we just didn't even bother DNA testing them because we don't really need to know. But then we started getting more and more curious. And 5-6 years ago, the DNA tests weren't even close to being accurate. So we never bothered. So it's just recently, some of our guys, you can't stick a swab in their mouth without them being knocked out. Sarge being one of them, Kona being another one. So we don't usually DNA test them unless they're going for their yearly medical and we're going to knock them out anyway, or there's something going on that we have to sedate them for in order to examine them. So that's a good time to get a DNA test. So we just did one for Kona, and I think, I don't have it right in front of me, but he was in the high 80s with a little bit of shepherd. You don't really see any dog in Kona. I mean, he looks like a wolf, and that's because he pretty much is a wolf. And then we did Ryder, she was 16%, and a million other things in there too. We did Riggs a couple of times, and both times it came back with no dog. We just talked to a geneticist at Princeton University, and she's actually going to take some blood from him because she's doing a study on wolf and coyote mix in the wild. And we believe it's coyote just because the first test, which is not the most accurate test, came back with coyote. The second test, which is the embark test, came back with just wolf, and I think it was like 86 or 89% wolf, and the rest was, they didn't know. So talking to the woman at Princeton, she said, well, if it was embark, they would know if there was dog. So there's obviously something else. So we're trying to figure that out. It's a mystery. And so hopefully we're going to get some blood. The problem is getting blood from Riggs while he's awake, and we're not just going to knock him out to take blood for a DNA test. So hopefully we can try and get it to her this week. And if not, we'll figure it out at a later date. We have not DNA tested Sarge. Again, he has to be knocked out. We couldn't DNA test Merlin because he would have had to be knocked out. And half the time we knock him out, and then we should have got a DNA test. And we forget.
Who are you talking about?
They're asking about the percentages and who we,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
when we don't know.
I was just saying
the
breeds that they're made up with as well.
Oh, and the breeds.
Yeah.
When we don't know, I'm looking at this. When we don't know the content, what we phenotype, which is we assess all of the behavioral traits and all of the physical traits and kind of
and whatever history we can put together.
Yeah, so we know that Merlin came from a particular breeder. We know his history from his former owner that has a certain way of breeding that they were able to tell us what essentially the content was, which was extremely high. But if we don't know, then we'll just categorize them in kind of like low content, meaning just a little bit of a little bit of wolf, and they're showing mostly dog. Mid content, you're seeing wolf, but you're also seeing the dog. And then high content, meaning I don't really see dog in this guy, but it's there, basic maybe on his behavior.
They're asking about the breeds.
Yeah, so generally the breeds that they do use are Malamute, which is a big Alaskan Husky. And if you saw Loki, he's really exhibiting that. Sarge is also part Malamute, which is why he's so big and beefy, and he's got a broader chest. I mean, he still has that narrow chest that wolves have, but it's a little broader, and you can see in his bones are bigger. And he's very vocal like a Malamute. And then they use Shepherd, and they use Siberian Husky, and
yeah, most of the northern breeds and Shepherd is the main one. I mean, there are some people out there I've heard that were breeding pit bulls with a wolf, which, there's some scary things out there, but mostly they would use Shepherd or northern breeds.
Okay, yeah. Another question is, how did you guys come up with the names for everybody?
Take that. So some of them came with names. Taboo, for instance, came with a name. Sarge came with his name. Kona came with his name. When we don't know their names, I think the people at the dog rescue gave Selena her name, and we just felt like it was fitting. They've been using it for a while, and it was a pretty name for a pretty girl, so we were like, okay, we'll keep it. But then the puppies, Thor and Loki, we actually had a naming contest.
And Riggs too.
It was like $10 to name a pup. And
goes
the way
towards their
care. Yeah, so it's like a little fundraiser, and it's fun. It's a game. And so what we do is we collect all the names, and then we get the team. We've got about 20 people on our team. So then we get the team to privately pick their favorite. This is the first way that we can think of. They privately pick their favorites, and they send them in. So then we have a list of about 20. And then from those 20, we do the same thing again until it gets down to about 5. And then we kind of live with them for a little while and kind of see which one fits. And then we all have like another vote, and the one with the most votes ends up being that name. So it's really fun. And then the person that named them gets to come and meet them and hang out with them and stuff like that. So Thor and Loki, I mean, it was a big Avengers time when they were born, and they are so Thor and Loki. I mean, Loki has got an underbite, he's mischievous, he's always getting up to trouble, he wants to be the boss of somebody. Thor is just super regal, and he's just like, whatever, and everybody respects him. So they really fit the characters. And then Riggs is actually named after Martin Riggs in Lethal Weapon. Reason being, he, as you saw with Paula, likes to jump up. But when we first got him, as friendly as he is, and he would never try to hurt you, he is a complete maniac. He flies through the air.
He's like Tigger.
He was hitting so many people in the face or the eye. So everyone had lips and busted noses and black eyes. And we're like, he has a heart of gold, but he's like a lethal weapon. And we're like, ooh. And so someone came up with the idea. Actually, one of our best friends, because we don't look at who gave the names, so we're not.
It's anonymous.
It's anonymous. So, but Riggs came up, and that went into the pot. And he would maybe called Indy. Indy was like the second name. Bird was going to be another name because he squeaks like a bird. But the votes, I think we won by one, but she really didn't win.
You won by a landslide.
Yeah, with Riggs we did, yeah. So he's called Riggs, and it's very fitting, and we call him Wrigley. All of them have nicknames too that they know. So Loki is Lokitino.
And so now we call him Tino, and he answers to both now. He knows Tino and Loki.
Wrigley and Piggly and Lena Bean and Sargento cheese or big cheese or Kona.
Or just Gento. Now we just call him Gento, and he knows.
Kona Banana. Sometimes I call him Banana. And they all know their names. It's really cool.
Before we ask another question, I want to bring Emmy in. Emmy, come join us. You want to come? You scooch in the middle.
I'll scooch.
Emmy can sit here, just in case anybody has a question for Emmy too, because she's done so much for as a youth ambassador. So if anyone has a question, just let us know.
Absolutely. I was laughing about the nicknames because I can't think of a single person I know who doesn't have a cat or a dog or a bird or whatever, right, with multiple names. Why do we do that to our pets, our animals? We have multiple names for them, and they just keep...
I want to do that is going to annoy every parent out there right now. So we have Charlotte the pit bull. So we call her Char or Char, and sometimes Char d'Amour, like Jaja. But now, and the song is stuck in my head all day, every day, because I go around going, baby shark, do 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 do, baby shark, do 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 do, and then I just can't stop, and then everybody around me hates me, and I just
tell the world.
Anyway,
and I might have missed this because behind the scenes here we don't always get to see everything in the live stream, but poor Charlotte, where's her little cameo on film for being part of the pack? I know she loves to howl along and hike with them, and
yeah, she's in the video. She comes up.
She helped. Pit bulls are known, especially in England, where Steve is from, as the nanny dog. They are very maternal and paternal, and the minute the puppies came, she also went right into nanny mode and helped to raise those puppies, and so they still regard her as a big sister of such. And she and Riggs are extremely close. She and Kona are extremely close. So she and Taboo were, so she is part of the pack for sure.
When the puppies were tiny, they used to sleep on her. And as they grew, they still sleep on her.
So all you see
now you can't see her anymore.
Her eyes looking at us. Loki's
huge.
Oh, wonderful. That's wonderful. There's actually a very funny comment here from Erica. There are probably people watching this, or younger people watching this, who have no idea who Riggs is from Lethal Weapon.
TV show now, so I don't know.
I thought that was
going
ourselves badly.
There is a question for Emmy. What inspired you to reach out to Apex to help with their mission, or your mission? Excuse me. What inspired you to reach out to Apex to help with your mission?
So originally, I came with my Girl Scout troop a little over 2 years ago for like a fun little.
Don't watch yourself on TV. Watch yourself there.
There you go.
Watch yourself
that's
there.
Behind.
Look in there. That way you won't get confused.
So we came with our Girl Scout troop like 2 years ago, and then I pulled aside my friend May, and I was like, hey, so we have to do our silver award anyways, and we both really loved it up here, so we're like, why not do it with Apex? So we chose to do it here.
She literally, her project was about, we're always looking for ways to reach the, youth and educate youth, and school presentations are the main way we do it. But, I've always wanted and to have them, they want to be more active. They're always asking after school presentations, how can I help? How can I volunteer? And so Emmy came in, and she wanted to help build that volunteer program for youth.
Well, actually, them kind of just go back one step?
Yeah.
We have been planning to do this for so long, but we're so busy all the time. It was just really hard to sit down and put together. So when Emmy came and said, I need a project, we were like,
But who more perfect to help you design it than someone the age that you're looking to reach out to? So she really put everything together, the concept, what it was going to look like. We went over all of the safety protocols. What does that look like so that we can do this really safely? So, they have an amazing experience. And it's become so successful. It's not only the kids, it's so cute because we'll have mostly kids, and then we'll have the parents, and the parents will go out and do a project while the kids are working on getting the food prepared and such. And then we'll, after the pack is fed, we'll have an hour or so of advocacy, and we'll talk about everything going on in the country. And the parents will sit in on that so that they can go home and have discussions with the kids about it, and maybe do a project, an advocacy project from home. And what cracks me up is the parents get so excited about the advocacy, and I'll ask the kids, and we have 8 to 14.
Yeah, 8 to 14.
And I'll say to the kids, I'm like, okay, so what do you blah blah blah? And there's like parents going, me, and I'm like, no, you're not a kid.
You
and
can't answer.
It's adorable. It's so cute, and they're so into it. So now it's become more of a family project. That they're sharing this experience together, which we didn't expect that
did not expect
blossom
that at all.
out of.
We were just going to put the parents outside with a cup of tea or something and sit them in the shade and just,
Well, and your mom actually started it. She's like,
kids, and they were
give
like,
us something to do.
We want something to do. So I was like,
we hand them breaks and
now
stuff.
I get the tools.
Really, get out
I'm
there.
like, weed whack. And they do.
And they do. And now all the parents are friends.
Great.
So it's just been really cool. So then we just heard yesterday that we got an email from a Girl Scout who needs to do something for her Silver Award. And she's all about figuring out what this Girl Scout can do. And she's going to help in guiding this Girl Scout in her project here. So I'm really excited.
That's amazing. Well, we have another question for you, Emmy. What worked among your Girl Scout troop or other kids to change their minds as to not fear or distrust wolves, I think is what they're trying to say.
No, don't look at that TV.
I'm trying to.
20
my brain's trying to.
It's 20 seconds.
And how much does the Apex Pack help with that? I think that what they're asking is, what worked with your peers, with your group, in terms of reducing any fears or mistrust that they may have had with wolves or about wolves.
I know that I was really scared first. I came up here like terrified. But I don't know about anyone else because we're a very adventurous troop, I guess. I don't really know where we are. But I know that I was scared. And I kind of like when we were talking about it before we went to go meet them and interact with the pack, I heard like all these things and I was like, okay, so maybe it's not as scary as I thought. Maybe all these things I read aren't true. And so we kind of like talked about it as a troop. Like after we left, we're like, oh, this is not at all what we thought it was going to be. We thought they were like not as, I don't know, they're so different than how they act in person, what you read versus how they are.
Yeah. We have a lot of people that come here, and it's always great to see the ones, that are unfortunately terrified when they get here. Maybe something happened to them, good adults too, they got bitten by a dog when they were kids and stuff like that. And then they get to spend time with these guys and they leave completely changed. Mm-hmm. They leave like, I had no idea. I have been so terrified to come here. Like one guy stood outside the fence for a long while. I'm not going in. And then he kept seeing his friends getting all these snuggles and kisses and how friendly everyone was. And finally he was like, can I come in? And we're like, yeah, come on in. And he came in and he just warmed up. He was very detached when he first came, and when he left, he was giving us big hugs, and he was just like, this is great.
He also cried at the end.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He was so moved by the transformation of how he felt. He had been carrying this fear with him for so many years, and he was able to let that go through the experience that he had here, which really was meaningful for us as well.
Yeah.
We provide an experience for people because, we always say,
humans learn through experience, and they have to experience something firsthand. You want to make sure it's done extremely safely, and so they get a class on how to meet a wolf or wolf dog before,
and also
we even
respectfully
do it.
to the animal.
Very respectful. Everything is done on the wolf or wolf dog's terms. So if they don't have to do anything that they don't want to do. We have a very friendly pack, which is kind of unusual. Really friendly, love people, but if they didn't want to, then it would never be expected of them. Everything is on their terms, and so that usually, I think they know that, and so by just allowing them to take the lead, whatever usually happens is just amazing.
Yeah, and it happens, what's in, just on that subject, I mean, it wasn't quite the question, or it was maybe, with COVID, no one was here for a good long while, and the pack seemed down. I mean, they were not as excited about anything, but then as people started to come back, they just started to blossom again. And it made me realize how social they really are, And, we're not talking about going into their enclosure or having someone meet them on a leash. We're talking about being on top of the hill here on the hike. And if you watch the hike video earlier this week, you'll see that's a vast space. And they spend the majority of it with the people. They want to be with the people. They're social, So it's really interesting to see that.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, if we just jump back for a second, I remember a really poignant moment here at Wolf Week during the children's program when the pack was outside here, Poco, and this grandmother brought her very young granddaughter. I want to say she was probably 4 or 5 years old, in that range. And the granddaughter desperately wanted to go in and hang out with the pack. And the grandmother was holding on to her. Like, no, you could tell the grandmother was terrified. And she finally let her granddaughter go, right, with all of you guys. And it was amazing to see the transformation in that adult, because she finally saw the pack through the eyes of her granddaughter, and it really you could see the change come over her in the time that she had been standing out there on that, how we have it roped off, watching her granddaughter interact with the pack, to finally be brave enough to let her go. Right. And then to have that transformation. It was really incredible. I'll never forget that as long as I live. It was just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just to, as an aside, there are organizations out there who are, they question, animal ambassadors and such for their kind. And so, and we understand that very well. So we take what we do very seriously. And don't take anything for granted. We take a long time to get to know each pack member inside and out, and knowing what kind of energy they're comfortable with, and knowing the age range that they feel safe with, and knowing everything about the animal. Of course, they are wolves and wolf dogs, but we try to make the room for error as tiny as possible, and there's handlers and everything. So, just talking about kids meeting wolves is so safe, and that's what our goal is. So,
well, I can assure you, after this week, with all these behind the scenes videos, you have hundreds of ambassadors in the form of humans now out there, because you wouldn't be able to do what you do here in person, or, when you go to the schools and such as well, if you weren't doing all those things that you're doing, that we've had a sneak peek into all of this week. So I think anyone who would bring that up would immediately hear a very informed answer to that type of question, based on what you taught us all this week. So thank you. We're going to wrap up, because no one go away. We've got Apex favorites. It's like the reel of favorites. We've got some videos we're going to play. You're going to see the Wolf Week logo for a brief second while we switch over. And then we've got about 20 minutes of video to play. And then at 12 noon, we're going to do the Women's Wildlife Warriors panel right here on this channel. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you. Enjoy the videos. They're from this week. There's the puppies and feeding the pack. So if you didn't see them this week, now's your chance.
They're fun.
Well, if you were just watching that film, that was absolutely amazing. I'm so happy that we were able to show it this year.
Yeah.
And so now we're doing our second check-in at Apex Protection Project today. I'm Paula, and this is Steve, and we are Apex Protection Project. We're also the co-founders of Sedona Wolf Week with our friends at Plan B to Save Wolves. And this morning, you got to see a little bit about who we are, and now we're bringing you behind the scenes because we want to share our pack at our sanctuary and what it is that we do with you in a way that we can't do this year, because normally we would be live and we'd be sharing our pack with you that way. But we decided to take you behind the scenes this year and do some fun things that way.
So we're going to show you some things that most people don't get to see unless they're volunteers here. And we're going to really take you behind the scenes. And we're going to start tonight or this afternoon with a little segment that we call When There Were Tadpoles. Normally, we would not rescue puppies because people don't have puppies to be rescued. Generally, they are adults that they've had for a while. But 5 years ago, we rescued Thor and Loki and another little girl, their sister, called Luna. And they were brought to us from a backyard breeding situation at 3.5 weeks old. And we had to learn all about how to feed puppies, how to bottle feed. We haven't had a baby. We haven't had a puppy. We didn't know what we were doing. And so we're going to share this like 9 minutes of never before seen footage about Thor and Loki and their sister. And I just want to mention that there are 3 puppies in this video, and Thor and Loki are living with us. And Luna is living with another family in a wonderful place. She's not with us anymore, but she's still with us, if you know what I mean. So I don't want you to watch the video.
That's terrible.
Well, she is. I mean, I don't want people watching the video and worrying.
No,
that she's not. She's very, very
raising
happy.
3 puppies was just really overwhelming, and she actually fell in love with our friends who also have a sanctuary, and so they adopted her into their family, so she's doing just fine.
Yeah. So this video we've entitled When They Were Tadpoles. It's a little bit of a fairy tale and a story that I like to tell to Thor once in a while because he really enjoys it. So please enjoy this, and we will be back in about 9 minutes
for a Q&A.
With a live Q&A. So enjoy When They Were Tadpoles. Do you remember when you were a baby? Huh? Do you? I raised you from a tadpole. A tiny little tadpole, yeah. Do you remember? I know you do. In the very beginning, I had to feed you from a syringe because you didn't even know how to use a bottle. And then one day you were licking the milk off my fingers, and you started sucking on the end of my finger. And I knew you were growing up and you were ready for a bottle. We had to get up every 2 hours and make your special formula. We were exhausted. It involved mixing all kinds of stuff together. We were sleepy, but we did it. Paula would shake it up in the kitchen. Then we'd have to warm it up on the stove. And once it was ready, we would put it in your baby bottles and wake you up. Before we knew it, you were drinking that milk like there was no tomorrow. You drank it so fast sometimes we had to slow you down. And you started to grow and grow.
So it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we just finished feeding, and we like to bring them in here because this is like like a little play area for them while we're cleaning up their area. I was just saying how they're like little superheroes. They're growing so fast, and just yesterday they couldn't even walk on this floor. They couldn't figure it out, and now they're just chugging around and teasing each other. It's amazing. how fast they're growing. It's just unbelievable. Okay, so I'm gonna clean up in there, and what we do after they eat is the mom will clean them, give them a nice bath and clean them up. So while one of us cleans out their kennel, the other one of us will get a nice warm washcloth and bathe them, especially since they just pooped $2 before.
So the mother would normally feed them and then give them a little bath with her tongue, make sure they're nice and clean. When we first got these guys, it was only Sunday, and it's, Saturday morning now, early Saturday morning, Friday night. And they've grown 10 ounces each, about. And in that time, they're already developing little personalities. She's pooping already. And we were so delicate with them at first because they seemed like they were so fragile. But they're just tough little monkeys. And you've got to make sure that they've got nothing on them so they're nice and clean when they go back to bed. Okay, that's warm. I think somebody pooped over there. So
She did. Okay.
I can smell it. I'm gonna hold it.
Yeah, you want to grab
some
one?
tissue.
Oops. Grab. Oh, look at your wrists.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, I'll grab.
Okay, give me a tissue.
And then you want to grab. Oop, this little guy. Oh, everybody's pooping. Good. Right on.
Where'd you eat from? Come here, you. Okay, you're always the stinkiest one. You're always covered in something. What is your problem, buddy? What's your deal? You're always covered in something. Yeah, chicken leg. Chicken legs. Your feet are clean. Okay, your little belly. Your belly clean. Yeah. Okay. There we go. You feel sleepy. What did you say? You're sleepy? You want to go to bed now? Yeah? You want to go to bed? Who loves his papa? Say, I love Apex Protection Project. I love Apex Protection Project. Every day we would socialize you with different people. So you got used to being around everybody. You always loved people.
I'm making your food as fast as I can. I am. Are you guys hungry?
And you were always hungry.
Oh my goodness.
Most of the time, all you did was wrestle and play and sleep and poop. I remember Loki's first howl. And then one night we woke up and all of you were howling with the pack. You ate your first food out of a bowl. Loki's learning to eat out of a bowl. You started to get bigger and run around the house. You were such a pretty boy. You and your brother. And then Taboo, she took you under her wing and became your mom. She wrestled with you every day and always let you win. She'd always pretend to be on the bottom so you could attack her. We would laugh. And then eventually you could come on the hike. Do you remember that? You loved running around on the hill just like you do now. And Kona became your big brother, started to teach you the ways. And Boo was always a gentle mother, watching over you like you were her own. She was so loving and so sweet. And now that time has gone by, and you're 5 years old, you've grown into the handsome young man that I knew you would. Both of you have grown into fine young men, and I'm very, very proud of you.
Good morning and welcome to day 3 of Sedona Wolf Week. We are Apex Protection Project. If you're just joining us for the very first time, I'm Paula.
I'm Steve.
And we are also the co-founders of Sedona Wolf Week along with our dear friends Plan B to Save Wolves. Now, if you have been participating in Sedona Wolf Week this week, hopefully you've really been enjoying our speakers. We've had the most amazing lineup of speakers this year.
We're so blown away this year.
And we know we've really been enjoying it. And if you're just joining us for the first time, we've been checking in with you on a daily basis, showing you a little bit behind the scenes at Apex, because normally you all would be getting to meet us, getting to meet our pack, firsthand. But because we can't do that this year, we wanted to do something else special.
So in this week, you've met Thor and Loki when they were puppies. You've been on a hike with us. You've had a vet visit with Kona. And today, you're going to feed the pack with us. So most people don't get to see this. And a lot of people ask us all the time, what do you feed your pack? What do you feed your pack? So we're going to go through everything that we feed them, how we feed them in the morning, all of the specialty diets. You're actually going to see the technique we use for feeding them, which is quite unusual when you see it. We have the inside crew. We have the outside pack. And each of them are fed a little bit differently depending on their personalities or who they're living with. And they all get a different diet. So we want to take you on this journey. And then again, as always, we will be back for a live Q&A in about, I think it's like 15 minutes long, something like that. So enjoy feeding the pack with Apex, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Because each of our pack members has special needs regarding age, weight, metabolism, and health, we've devised a special menu for each of the pups. We feed our pack twice a day. In the morning, their diet consists of raw meat and supplements, and a majority of that meat is donated by our wonderful meat manager at our local grocery store. Because their diet consists mainly of slab meat, we add a lot of supplements for extra nutrition, one of the most important ones being Bone Builder, which is a bone supplement that's necessary for healthy digestion of raw meat. There's also a probiotic, Phytoflex, a glucosamine supplement for healthy joints, omega-3s for skin, hair, and also for some joint support. And even a vegetarian omega for Riggs because he loves to roll in the fish oil and then rub all over you. Each pack member gets approximately a pound of meat, depending on, again, their age, metabolism, and weight. And once all the ingredients are in the bowl, it's mixed really well so that no supplements are left in the bottom of the bowl. Thor unfortunately has inflammatory bowel disease, so he's on a special prescription diet of hypoallergenic food. Ryder's been hanging out with Kona, but now she has to go inside into her crate for her food so that she doesn't steal everyone else's.
Come on, let's go to bed.
Luckily, she's crate trained and likes being in there, so it's not a problem.
Go to bed. Good, go to bed.
Every pack member has a special place that they eat, and we have a special order that we feed them in so that there's less confusion. As you see, the director on his business call is escaping the chaos. Now, we deal with this occasionally where Thor really doesn't want to eat his food, and Betty uses a little bit of a firm voice because we don't want to baby him. And it takes a little coaxing, but usually once he gets going, he's happy to eat everything. We ask all of our pack members to sit, so it gives them a chance to calm down and we can put the bowl down safely.
Go to bed, Rex.
We feed most of our pack members in crates to maintain a positive association with them in case of an emergency where they might actually need to be crated. But in Riggs's case, there was an added benefit, which was that he started to feel safe in there. With 2 pack members in the same enclosure, this allows them to have their own space to eat peacefully and calmly without worrying about taking each other's food.
Wait, Riggs. Okay, let's go to bed.
When we first rescued Sarge, he was extremely food aggressive. You couldn't safely put the bowl down in front of him. So we devised a way of feeding him that involved turning slowly in a circle with the bowl of food and then gently sliding it along the floor. And so that's why now he has this routine of still doing his little circle before being fed. Over time, after building trust, he's much calmer now and feels safe even going in his crate to have his food. By the time Betty's fed Sarge, Riggs and Selena are finished, and it's time to let Riggs out of his crate. And now for the fun part.